Panda Cubs, we got two major things that everybody has been talking about. One, Atlas Racer and whether it's fair or not. And two, it has to do with legendaries and when to buy them. Alright, let's get into it. First off, let's talk about Atlas Racer. I was finally able to go through a full event from the full 2 hours and be able to enjoy it. Except for a couple things that I noticed. One, I had a lot of races where I had a perfect launch and had perfect shifts every single time, and yet I still lagged behind the other racer by large margins, which is weird because you would think you would stay close or you'd be far ahead. The other thing that I noticed is that the amount of Atlas bucks that you put into the actual event itself does not guarantee that you're going to have a high payout. So I was top 10 in my state, and then I was top 200 within the country, which is an awesome goal for myself. But that was with me consistently racing every race for the past 2 hours. The amount of Atlas bucks that I spent during that time was not an insane amount. It was about 100 and I believe 60 or 80 or somewhere around there, and I only got 95 Atlas bucks in return. So yes, I made some of it in return, at least half, but I wouldn't say it was necessarily worth it unless a couple things. One, you are perfect at every single race. Two, you're very consistent and you know that you're not going to mess up. Three, you're willing to sacrifice all your Atlas bucks for those winnings. I mean, if you can stay on top notch and top tier every single time, then you're good. You're going to obviously get your Atlas bucks worth. But for people like myself, even trying my hardest and being actually top players in the state and in the country and only get 95 Atlas bucks in return is not necessarily worth it in my opinion. You lose Atlas bucks more than you do gain. Atlas Racer is more for the skilled and the lucky players, but for myself, it's too glitchy still. It's not really giving the payout that I want, or any of you guys probably necessarily want. But of course, the one thing that is always fair is subscribing down below. As we continue to grow, we have passed the 300 mark, which is insane. I'm very grateful for you guys, and I'll continue to keep you updated on Atlas Racers and also trying to create passive incomes. But the second thing I did want to mention, when and should you be buying legendaries? So there's a couple of different opinions on this one, so I'm going to share my light on it. First off is when I want to buy the legendary, currently I'm sitting at 150 parcels. If I do decide to buy that, of course I'll go past that and go be at 151. I'll drop from 30 to 20 times rent booster, and that's perfectly fine because what I would most likely do is actually sell off one of my commons. But the reason why is because if I do that, I go back up to 30 times, and that's awesome. I want to make as much money as possible. I'm not buying any more parcels until I save up enough to buy 70 to reach 220, which is the next top tier at 20 times. So that's my strategy. Of course, if you don't care and if you're more about how many parcels you have in total and don't care about 150, 220 and all those stuffs, then yeah, I would say take the opportunity. If it comes up and you see it, take it, because I don't believe it's going to be very common to come across somebody selling off a legendary and an epic. Yes, if you do, buy it. It might be more expensive than you're anticipating. If they sell it for more than 400, the question is, would you go for the risk and guarantee yourself a legendary, or would you buy 4 of your own parcels and see if you get a legendary? Because what happens if you get 4 commons in a row, it equals 1 legendary and you're paying for the same. But if you get 3 commons and then 1 rare, it's automatically more than the 1. But that's all up to you. If you just want to see how many legendaries you can have over everything else, that's up to you. So there is really no right or wrong answer as to when you should buy a legendary parcel. It's always up to the player, the individual themselves, because there are many who just want to make sure they have mayorship of the area they're in, or they just want to have as much money as possible. It's just depending on which one you are as a player. But as you continue to maximize your earnings, or you maximize how many parcels you have, your strategies begin to change. Maybe you don't care much about being mayor, especially if you're far ahead of everybody else. Maybe it starts to turn into, okay, now let me try to make more money. Or vice versa, it might be where you're like, I'm tired of sitting at 150, let me just jump up and try to catch up. I know the only time I know for myself that I would actually go and buy another parcel to break the 150 is if I lose my mayorship. It may not sound like a big deal, but I have made enough commission off of that where I was able to buy at least, I believe, 3 or 4 parcels for free without me having to do anything other than being a mayor. I don't want to lose that status. It is a good way to make passive Atlas bucks in this case to buy more parcels. But as of right now, those are the major things. There hasn't been any updates. They're trying to keep it more on the download. That's why I'm not able to announce anything major. No super rent booster events, no Atlas racers, nothing like that. But I do hope that they do come out with 3 major things which people have been waiting for. Is 1, landmarks, major one, auction, and of course when we can customize our player. Those are the 3 major things that everybody's looking at. Hopefully I can come across some details. But for the time being, I'll share another video with you guys about how to create passive income. For the time being, I'll catch you in the next. Peace.